One of the questions I get asked on a daily basis is, how did I get started in the business? And I'll tell you this, 2009, 2010, I made no money. Understand this, in 2009 and 2010, I made no money. Lost my cars, lost my house, I was broke, no money. But what I acquired on the flip side of that was knowledge, proprietary knowledge that now brands see value in. Because if you can make $1 in social media, you can potentially make millions for brands. What up, Snapchat fam? It is going down. It is 9 o'clock. I'm hitting that stage in 15 minutes. Wish me luck. I'll see you on the other side. Let's get it. Woo. This is my Super Bowl. I absolutely live for this moment. That moment right before I go on stage where everything just flashes before me. All the triumphs, all the tribulations, those years, man. I get goosebumps even thinking about it right now, talking about it.
And joining us this morning is Carlos Gil, the founder of JobsDirectUSA.com.
Up-and-comer with financial giant AIG until the economy took its toll.
Then on November 6th, I was laid off. Just to be here on a day like today, celebrating social media professionals, and just being here getting ready to speak to an audience, a sea of marketers, that next generation that's coming up. And I always say you gotta celebrate your wins, but you also gotta count your blessings. And just be fortunate for these opportunities, because there's someone else out there. There's someone else out there right behind you that if you blink, that person's gonna lap you. There's always gonna be someone that's gonna be working harder than you. Always gonna be someone out there that's trying to get those opportunities too. So just celebrate your W's and count your blessings. And for me, it's emotional because when I look back on where I was 8 years ago, being laid off, not having a job, struggling, using social media to grow my business, to feed my family, and now I'm here, man, what else do I want for my career, right? So I don't know where I'd be without social media. And the way I got started in this business was actually through a layoff. And it was in November of 2008 when I found myself out of a job. My wife was 8 months pregnant at the time, that I had no choice but to start using social media to rebrand myself. Didn't go to college and started off my career very young. 19 years old, I got a job with Citigroup. And from 19 to 25, I worked in banking. I wanted to be a banking executive. I never really saw the value at a very young age around professional networking. I didn't necessarily see the value in having a personal brand on social media because, again, we're talking early 2000s where it wasn't a thing like it is today. As soon as I lost my job, I joined LinkedIn. And it was that day that I joined LinkedIn that I recognized social media is the gateway between yourself and just countless professionals and opportunities out there. I associate social media for the reason why I even have a job today. Social media is the reason why I'm at events like this here at Social Media Day in San Diego. So a lot of people today want to work in social media. It's the hot thing to do. But they don't recognize that in order to get a job in social media, you gotta put in the work. The issue I have with marketers today, or those that are getting into the business, and believe you me guys, like I was there once. I was a 25-year-old kid once that thought, you know what? I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, I'm crushing it, I got all these followers, come buy from me. There's this false sense of celebrity. Because at the end of the day, when you're out trying to get brand clients, those brands don't care how many followers you have. And I'll tell you just from experience, I've worked now for 4 corporate brands as a head of social. None of those brands care how many followers I bring to the table. I'm not there to go ahead and bring my personal brand to them. I'm there to offer value. I'm there to offer thought leadership. I'm there to offer insight, strategy as to how they can grow their business. And I think that's where a lot of people that get into this business early on, they don't recognize that. They think, you know what, the easy way is I'm gonna become an influencer. Well, what's an influencer? Think about that for a moment. We are all influential people. Whether you have 5 followers, 5,000 or 5 million, we are all influential within our own circles. Social media should not be a replacement for this. It shouldn't be a replacement for coming to events like the one that we're at here. It shouldn't be a replacement for face-to-face contact. What it is a tool, and social media is that tool that's the bridge between you and the people that you're gonna potentially do business with. Because what matters at the end of the day is the people that are cutting the checks. The people that cut the checks are the ones that really matter. And what value are you gonna drive to those people that cut the checks? Your path or your trajectory should not be, how do I become influential? Again, everyone's influential, but your trajectory should be, how do I offer as much value to others with no expectation of anything in return? And I say this because I meet people every single day, whether it's through Snapchat or networking events. They always ask me, like, how can social media make an impact in my business? And I tell them, when I was hustling as a startup founder during the recession, 08, 09, 2010, I got told no a lot of times. And that's the recipe, that's the secret for success. People are gonna tell you no. People are gonna tell you no to your face. People are gonna tell you no through email. They're gonna tell you no endlessly. And you have to know how to just brush that off and keep moving forward. If you wanna work in social media and you have no experience, that should be your focus, is how do I get as much experience as I possibly can? Volunteer. Every professional organization, association out there has a need for social media support. This is why I always advocate for having a servant mindset first. If you want to go ahead and get in this business, you got to give up your time. And that's something that's very difficult and tricky for a lot of people out there, especially the younger millennials, because the younger millennials come into this business and they don't want to work for a company. They don't want to work for an agency. They don't want to pay their dues. And that's not necessarily a knock on the younger millennials. And apologies to any younger millennial out there who's probably watching this and saying, wow, like this guy's taking a shot. It's not that. When I was 25, when I was 26, when I was 27, it was all about grind. It was all about how can I get as much actionable experience and tangible results as possible. Because when you sit in front of a prospective client, they're gonna look at whether it's your resume or your website or your portfolio, or they're gonna ask you straight up, what have you done? And if you can't answer within 5 to 7 seconds who you are and what you've done, then you've already lost. The thing about social media is that it's such a broad universe. Social media is just such a giant ocean, and it's easy to get lost in that sea of people. Think about it, you go on Twitter and you see all these names in the news feed. How many of those people are in the city where you live in? How many people are you actually networking with in your own town where you live? So if you really want to go ahead and crush it, start with your own community and expand outward. The flip side is in corporate. So you've got a lot of corporate hustlers out there, and I'm one of them. That's another aspect in terms of when people ask me, well, how have you grown your career? It's work. You know, the last 4 years I've worked in corporate America. I went from owning my own business, managing my own hours, working from home, which has its benefits but also has its downsides, to working in a corporate environment where it's very structured. Again, no one cares about how many followers you have when you're in a boardroom with a C-level executive and your CMO is saying, today's Friday and by Monday morning, I need you to do X, or I need you to deliver on this promise. The art of corporate hustle, it's tricky because how do you balance limited time? Like in most of our corporate jobs, you're working 8 to 10 hours a day. And those 8 to 10 hours then become 2 to 3 hours at night with your family. And then what time do you have after that? I've learned to gamify my sleeping habits. From 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., it's just straight hustle. So that podcast I want to record, that blog post I want to write, that's the time I have available to go ahead and make it happen. Again, going back to that broader question around how do you get started in this business? It's work. There is no other substitute for work. You gotta be a student. Be a student first. Everyone wants to be the teacher. Everyone wants to be the thought leader. No one wants to be the student. Well, guess what, guys? Being the student has a lot of merit and value, because when you soak up knowledge, when you come to events like this, when you watch videos on YouTube and you just study the game like I did, 3, 4 a.m., 5 a.m. There was nights when I was running my own startup that I wouldn't even sleep because I was making no money. I needed to figure out, how am I gonna put food on the table for my family and use this new thing called Facebook? How am I gonna use this new thing called Twitter? Talk about hustling. That was a one-man shop. I was the head of sales. I was the head of PR. I was running a company. I was doing it all. I learned how to write press releases. I learned how to pitch to media, all using Twitter. Again, being a student of the game, add as much value to as many people as possible. I look at social media like a 401k account. The more people you connect with every single day, those are the pennies, the nickels, and the dimes that you deposit into your 401k account, which is your social media presence. The value that you add to those followers. And what I mean by value is actually reaching out to someone and having a conversation. Because the name of this game is not, how can I game it to get as many followers? Again, no one cares about how many followers you have, just you do. What people really care about is, what can you produce? What results can you deliver and produce for them? Having this mindset of what can you do for others is gonna put you so much further ahead than the 99% that are using this as an avenue for self-fulfillment. Because self-fulfillment, it might get you a little influencer gig, it might get you free access into a party, it might get you some cool swag that someone says, hey, here's a free hat, go throw it on Snapchat and give us a shout out. Yeah, it's great. But at the end of the day, you're not gonna pay your bills off of that. At the end of the day, you're thinking that because you're being labeled as influencer and you're doing an influencer gig, that you're actually getting something out of it. You're not. So again, when you operate this mindset of how much value can I deliver and offer to others with no expectation of anything in return, that's the game changer. So going back to the 401k account analogy, you add relationships, you engage, you add value, whatever it may be. It could be an introduction. Hey, I'm gonna consult for you for free. Hey, what business problem are you trying to solve? Let me give you some advice. Again, ton of solopreneurs and freelancers out there. Try to offer as much value and advice that you can to others for free. If someone sees the value in what you personally offer and what you bring to the table. So it's not just the product, because anyone can buy a product, but it's what you bring to the table, which is you. That's the game changer, and that's the formula. If you do this enough times, you're gonna continue to add currency into that 401k account, which is your social media presence. And when you do that, and you cash out, the reward that you're gonna reap is gonna be a lot more than that free swag, or that t-shirt, or that access to that party. So keep that in mind for all the aspiring socialpreneurs out there, or aspiring social media influencers. I wanna go ahead and spoil this for you guys. There is no overnight success. Overnight success is a myth. And another thing that's a myth is competition. There is no competition. You are not competing with anybody. I am not competing with anybody. The only thing that you're competing with is time. We all have very limited time on this earth to go ahead and make things happen. Real talk, guys. I've gone through this, and I'm sure you've gone through this too, where your buddy just dropped a new book. Your buddy just got asked to speak at South by Southwest. Your buddy's flying all over the place, going to all these cool events, and you're sitting there in your apartment or your condo or your house trying to think, how am I gonna make ends meet? When I'm hustling, I'm grinding, and I'm not seeing a return. Spoiler alert, guys. Social media only shows you one aspect of that. Social media only shows you the fun shit. Social media is not showing you when people are up at 2 and 3 a.m. grinding and hustling. So take notes, because that's what you should really be looking at, is break down. What have people done to get here? I always say question everything. Question everything and question everybody, because there's a reason people got up on that stage. There's a reason people got asked to speak at that event. There's a lot of successful people out there. There's a lot of people that have written books in their industry. There's a lot of people that have very successful agencies that are making good money. But don't get wrapped up on the outcome that they're producing. Really entrench yourself on what was their methodology to get there, and then how can you pivot what you're currently doing to go ahead and get yours. So again, competition's a myth, because my goals are completely different than your goals. I can almost assure you, my end game is different than your end game. How we both get there can be leveraged in parallel by, again, offering value to one another, using these as tools for greater good and not to tear each other down. The other question I get asked a lot is, Carlos, how do I speak at conferences? And I always look at people and I ask them, well, what are you currently doing? And they're like, I don't know, I'm consulting on social media. Okay, well, what makes you qualified to be a speaker? A lot of times people say, well, I have a big following on Twitter, or I'm consulting to a few clients. Well, when you go speak at an event, that audience wants to walk away with actionable insights that are gonna help them be better in their jobs. When you go on a stage, if you're not driving immediate value and ROI by passing on actionable insights that marketer or that CMO is gonna be able to take back and immediately apply, then you've lost. My advice to anyone out there who wants to get into the game of speaking is, again, it goes back to your community. Start small. Volunteer to speak at a couple of events at technical colleges. Volunteer to get involved with your local AMA or your local advertising federation. Hopefully you see where I'm going with this. You have to volunteer and give up a lot of time, which goes back to that formula. It's the 401k account, social media. Add relationships, try to drive as much value and engage as possible. And if you're not doing that, then you're just wasting your time. Social media can be a complete waste of time if you're not focused. Your role in this ecosystem needs to be very clearly defined. And once you have that role pinned, then really start focusing on how you're gonna build that brand and deliver as much value. So going back to public speaking, Those years, 09, 10, 11, when I was going around the country, hosting pink slip parties, speaking at job fairs, getting involved in my community. I'm speaking at events. I was doing a lot of volunteer work. And I tell you, to this day, in 2016, over the last, I'd say 3 years, I've probably spoken at upwards of 50 to 60 events. Real talk, guys, most of those events, I have not gotten paid anything other than travel. And I'm someone that's been hustling my ass off. And I will humbly admit that I have made very close to $0 off of public speaking. That's not because I'm not hustling hard enough. It's not because I'm not looking for the right opportunities. It's because I recognize I'm building a brand. The more I go to these events, I have access. When I am on that stage for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I have access to a dedicated audience of professionals that are listening to the message that I'm telling them about how to use Snapchat, how to use social media. It used to be how to use social media to find a job. Now it's how to use social media in your business. So where I'm going with this is that access that I've had 50 to 60 events now, if I do that another 50 to 60 events more over the next 2 to 3 years, all that's gonna do is help raise my capital in terms of how many people do I know and how many people, most importantly, know me. Because the name in this game is not who do you know. That's the old way that this used to work. The name of the game today is who knows you. Guys, get this through your head. You're gonna have to do a lot of free PR and goodwill with no expectation of anything in return. If you wanna be a public speaker, start doing it within your own community and don't be asking for speaking fees. Just start getting involved. So I get asked on a daily basis, probably upwards 2 to 3 times a day, why should my business be on Snapchat, or how can my business use Snapchat? And it's very simple. Use Snapchat to humanize your brand and make your brand fun and engaging to the audience that you serve. The reality is this: your industry, whichever industry it is, whoever you're trying to reach, whoever your target demographic is, if they live on Snapchat, create content that's relevant to them. So if you're trying to serve everyone on Snapchat, you've already lost. You need to focus on having very targeted, hyper-local strategy. There's a lot of small business owners, there's a lot of mom and pop coffee shops and laundromats and you name it. Small businesses within their own community, real estate agents, financial planners, SEO, agency. If you are in Columbus, Ohio right now, look at how you can use Snapchat to make relationships with people within your community because these people are potential buyers from you. Use things like geofilters. So if you have a local brick and mortar business, have geofilters running at your place of business. Have signs and call to actions that say we're on Snapchat, add us. Because the more people that follow you in your community, the more people that use that geofilter, when they're snapping and using it, they're gonna be sharing that content out with their friends and their family and their network. And guess who those people are? They're local buyers within your community. Snapchat's become a phenomenon. I was on Snapchat in 2013 when I worked in consumer marketing. I have been fascinated by how Snapchat has grown and taken off. It's the second most active social network today behind Facebook. So let that sink in. A 5-year-old social network is the second most active social network today behind Facebook. Over 200 million users, you have 10 billion video views a day, and it is the best social network to reach 18 to 35-year-olds in the US, which are your millennials. I remember doing a lot of these talks, specifically around how to market to millennials. And when I would talk about Snapchat in 2014 and 2015, everyone would roll their eyes and say, oh, no one's ever gonna use it. Well, they were wrong.